Live for episode 133 of the Wise Guys podcast. I'm your host, as always, Brandon Capozziello, and here with me today is special guest, but a reoccurring guest now on the new MMA shows, Mr. Adrian Pierre. Fucked up his last name.
All good, all good.
And now I got fireworks. Yo, somebody needs to explain to Brandon why this is happening on Streamlabs. This never happened before, and now I'm getting balloons, thumbs up. I can't even put a thumbs up anymore, or I'm going to get a damn thumbs up. We got fireworks. All right, Adrian, introduce yourself so I don't mess it up.
All good, all good. My name is Adrian Pineres. Everybody, first of all, appreciate you having me on here. I'm really excited to learn a lot, and just excited to get my thoughts out there, and hopefully a couple of you guys can challenge those takes or just give me a good, better perspective. You know, I'm
100%. Adrian is going to be joining us for these MMA shows, and then maybe later on down the line some NBA shows because he loves himself some basketball. He's a big Knicks fan.
Gotta give the Knicks some reinforcement here.
Obviously, yeah, 100%. Because listen, I'm a
Miami fan over here.
We know how that ended last playoffs. But but right now we're gonna get into mixed martial arts, UFC. You can see on Adrian's shirt right there, Fighting Arts Academy. Adrian does train MMA currently right now. Probably looking to get into that profession later on. He's in the early. I don't know. How long have you been training for, Adrian?
Mixed martial arts. I just started getting really into mixed martial arts, getting more ground game. I've been striking with Taekwondo for about 12 years now. I stopped for a while, but I was competing out of state tournaments, competing in state. So it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. It was a great experience, great base for me personally. But like I said, if I'm going to get into the game, I can't just walk in there with no ground game and people are going to pick me apart. So it's gotta fill out the weaknesses. So I'm
100%. Yep. It's that new age of MMA, and you got to be well-rounded as hell.
Absolutely.
But he's going to be joining us to talk mixed martial arts, UFC, mostly UFC stuff. Obviously, there is Bellator out there. Bellator is seemingly possibly going to be going under very soon, or maybe not under. There's rumors PFL is going to be buying them, so PFL is going to become a big main player. Obviously, listen, we're going to be talking a lot of combat sports with you. Probably talk some boxing stuff as well. I know not this week, but next week, 2 weeks from now, we got the big boxing match of Francis Ngannou, former UFC heavyweight champion, taking on Tyson Fury. So we're going to discuss that. But this week right here, we've got UFC 294 in Abu Dhabi. Oh boy, Adrian. What was it? When did we talk? We talked.
What a turn of events.
When did we talk? We talked Sunday, Saturday. When did we talk?
We did talk over the weekend. We did.
And then just the flip of the switch after that. I mean, everything just changed on a dime there. So we had. Let's clue everybody in. I mean, if you've been living under a rock, then you don't know this. But everybody that's tuning into this, the mixed martial arts, you know that Islam Makhachev was supposed to be taking on Mr. Charles Do Bronx Oliveira for the lightweight championship in their rematch from last year that they fought actually at Abu Dhabi as well. And I think it was in October too. He is not taking on Charles Oliveira anymore. Now we get the fight that I believe all the fans wanted to see. Me, 100%. This is the fight that I wanted to see over Do Bronx. I'll get into that in a minute. But Islam Makhachev is taking on Alexander the Great Volkanovski, the featherweight champion, coming up again in their rematch from earlier this year in Australia, which was I guess you could say controversial fight. I mean, some things happened. People thought
Volk. We'll get into it.
We're going to get into that. But that's the main event now. Islam versus Volk 2. And the co-main event, Khamzat Chimaev was supposed to be taking on Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa got staph infection, had to have surgery. He could not fight. He could not compete. So now the former UFC welterweight champion, coming off 2 losses on 11 days' notice, Kamaru Usman is moving up to 185 to challenge the boogeyman of the UFC now, Khamzat Chimaev, in a 3-round fight, 3 rounds. I wish it was 5, but we're gonna take 3. We're gonna take 3.
We'll get what we can for the last minute fill in.
And that those so initial thoughts, Adrian, on the news of UFC 294.
First for the big one, for the main one. I didn't think we were gonna get that fight until UFC 300. If I'm being honest, I didn't think thought it was gonna be like a real like let it sit on, let it marinate, give us some things to chew on first for a little bit, and then let's just drop a crazy card, and then let's get everybody what they wanted to see. But oof, wow. I mean, let's be honest. Like, shout out to Volk, man, because from the reports, there were some reports that Dustin, I don't know if you know Dustin and Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje both were called to take this fight. However, Dustin did say yes to the fight. Gaethje apparently couldn't make weight in time. That's what the camp said. So due to that, Gaethje could not accept the fight, and I think it would have been a little awkward to put Dustin Poirier in a title fight situation after losing to Justin Gaethje from a head kick after that UFC card in Salt Lake City. So I think that Volk, like I said, shout out Volk for being a freaking demon, just being like, man, give me that fight. I wanted that fight anyway. So
Yeah,
give
100%.
it to me 11 days, 3 months. I don't care. Give me it.
It does, yeah. And to add to that, the guy literally Volkanovski just had surgery on his hand. I forget which hand it was.
Yeah.
Just had surgery on his hand. Coming off that, and from what Dana said, and from what Volk said, he was on the MMA out shout out MMA Hour and Ariel Hawani, big fans of their stuff. Volk said that he got the call. There was no hesitation. Like once he got the okay from the wife and the coach, it was pack your bags. We're going to Abu Dhabi. Let's go.
Let's get out of here.
Here we go again with the thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
This Mickey Mouse Nickelodeon show out here. All right. But my initial thoughts were first, I mean, the Islam Volk news broke first, obviously, a couple days prior before the Usman news dropped. And I was just ecstatic because, like I said earlier, I was like, this is the fight that I wanted to see. This is the fight that I think a lot of fans wanted to see. And Volkanovski alluded to, I'm here. Like, I'm willing to take, like, I know I'm coming off surgery, but we've seen Volkanovski come off crazier shit than this. And he's willing to do the impossible. I mean, I saw a quote or a tweet from somebody saying Volkanovski walks in and his nuts drag on the ground. That's how big of balls this man has. Like walking in 11 days notice, moving up again and taking on a guy that you just lost to a couple months, 6 or 7 months prior, or 8 months now. But what I love about Volk is the breed of this fighter. Like this is what, so full transparency, I wasn't a big Volk fan throughout his coming up before he was champion, and then when he beat Max Holloway. I truly believe that Max won the first 2 fights that they had. Clearly Volkanovski won the third fight. Like that was a complete wipeout and blowout. Volk completely dominated Max in that fight. But I did believe Max won those first 2 fights. Close, but I gave Max the nod. But when Volkanovski, and I thought Volkanovski was going to get absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
Against Islam earlier this year. And what ended up happening was the complete and utter opposite, Adrian. This man showed heart. He showed persistence. He showed determination. He showed something that I didn't believe was going to happen. Like I said, I thought he was going to get smashed. I was predicting under 4 rounds, Islam is going to get the win. He was too big. He was too physically imposing. His wrestling was outstanding. I thought this man was the boogeyman. I thought he was invincible. I truly did. I bought into that hype of Islam Makhachev, right? The Nurmagomedov hype, right? The
absolutely.
Yes. And what Volk did was, I don't play that. Like I'm Australian, and we bout that life just as well. I mean, this is a man that Volkanovski was even at 5'4", I believe 5'6", 5'4". I might be shortchanging him there. He was what was it, like 200 plus pounds as a rugby player back in the day.
The little man,
he packs a load too. He cuts a lot of weight as well. He was able to stuff takedowns. He was able to get up from takedowns. He's a squirmy little fucker. He's able to wiggle his way out there. He really doesn't have that much of a neck, so it's hard to get the chokes on him. And then obviously he gave those fan favorite moments in the fights, right? The one where Islam's got his back and he's doing really nothing. He's like, come on, motherfucker, come on. And like that's gangster right there. Or at the end of the fight, obviously, which everybody points to, the 5th round, being able to knock Islam down and ending the fight on top, raining down big shots on Islam Makhachev. I'm super excited for this fight. So what I want to hear from you is, what do you think, as a prediction wise, going into this fight? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think it's going to be relatively the same, like close fight, decision? Do you think one of them is going to get the finish on top of the other? What are you thinking here?
So I think, which I'm surprised to hear you say that you weren't a big Volkanovski fan.
I wasn't. He gained my listen. I'll say this now though. He gained my damn respect after that Islam fight. Like
Absolutely,
I walked out
but
of
I
that
think that we
saying,
should go back and look
hands
at
down, no more
if
pushback.
you want to look at a Volkanovski fight before that, that might give you the same level of respect. If you look at the Brian Ortega fight,
Oh, that as well. That is, you know what?
From that
You're
guillotine, the mounted guillotine, and the comeback from that, Volk has always been that guy. He's the guy that, honestly, he has that one thing that not a lot of UFC fighters do, but great champions have.
Yes.
And it's the ability to read and make adjustments throughout the fight. A lot of fighters tell you that what you do during training camp, it's very difficult to deviate from. So what you're training with all the time, that's what you're engraving into your muscle, into your memory, and what you're doing.
Yep.
Volk was really good at creating these situations where he sees what you're doing, he understands what you like to do, sees how you like to execute it, and then adjust to it.
Yeah.
So you saw the first 3 rounds, Islam had great ground control.
Yeah.
Takedowns, everything, the whole 9 yards, everything that Islam is really good at.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the fight, that's when we saw Volk be Volk and just drop him and really give us that, whoa, like give us something to really be like, set the MMA world on fire, basically.
Yes.
Like it really did. It really set the MMA world on fire. It caused controversy throughout that fight. And I rewatched the fight a couple of times, and I'm going to give a controversial opinion. I think Islam won the first 3, and then Volk won the last 2. But if you gave Volk, like I said, in this next coming round, he's got time to it. He doesn't have time to really game plan again, but he has experience. And on top of that, Islam hasn't fought anybody except him. So do we know that Islam got better or not? That's something that remains to be seen.
That's a phenomenal. That's a phenomenal point, Adrian. With the and that's a point I was going to make is Volk has fought since their last fight. He fought in July on International Fight Week, and he got a finish over a hungry Yair Rodriguez who was ready for that.
He was training in the Aztecs in the pyramid.
Exactly. Islam hasn't fought. You know, the Islam and Habib, those guys, they really only fight twice a year because of Ramadan is usually throughout somewhere in the year. I think it's twice a year if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely wrong on that, but I think it's usually around
the summer.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that. That's like May, June-ish, I think, which absolutely sucks, especially in the hotter months. You're freaking starving yourself and getting dehydrated and all that. So that's just ass to go through. But he hasn't fought anybody since. So, and what I truly and listen, I don't think you're giving I think the controversial opinion would be controversial. It would be Volk won that fight, right? Because I had Islam winning that fight 3-2. I'm not remembering the rounds off the top of my head. Volk obviously won round 5. I think Islam for me won the first 2 rounds, and then 3 and 4. I would have to rewatch it and give you a real.
You could hear an argument from anybody really.
Exactly.
It was a toss up, but I think personally that Islam did win the fight 3-2 personally.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, and I think everybody is clear on that. Obviously, what really changed a lot of people's opinions was the ending of the fight where Volk drops him and ends up on top.
It's like you said, it took the aura of invincibility away from the Habib camp, and
that's it. Yeah,
it went from it gave fans, especially we're fans, so we know when we see somebody that's very successful. Let's be honest, you either like them or you don't. You either want to see them win or you want to see them drop. And I think everybody who probably wasn't a big fan of the Habib camp or Islam or whatever was grabbing onto that moment. Was like, yo, that's the moment. Like we saw a crack in the iron shell. That was, like you said, the aura of invincibility. So I mean, like I said, Alex is really good at making adjustments. You brought up the Yair fight. He made crazy adjustments. Had his leg kicks. He had an answer for him. He waited for his moment, and we saw him catch him with that right hand. And I think it's going to be the same thing.
Beautiful adjustment too. Yeah, his camp, the City Kickboxing.
Yeah.
They're incredible at what they do. Eugene Berriman is an incredible head coach at that team, and I'm sure that they're gonna devise a pretty damn good game plan, even off 11 days notice. So what do you think is gonna? Do you have like a prediction for this fight,
This
the
specific
rematch?
fight, I
Yeah,
think that it may go 5 rounds again, but I think that if it does go 5 rounds, I think that Volkanovski, like I said, his ability to make adjustments. I haven't seen anything from Islam. Like I said, if he's better, great, good for him, and awesome. Like he needed to be better because if he's not better than last time, Volkanovski will go in there, has now more experience, and will make the right adjustments. It's a matter of if he makes it in the right amount of time. So, yeah,
So
I'm gonna pick Volkanovski winning by unanimous decision.
okay, but you don't think domination though, right? You think
No. It's gonna be a barn burner. I think
okay.
this one is gonna be a very different feeling. I think it may be, like I said, I think the energy and momentum is in Volkanovski's corner, but at the same time, there will be a sense of confidence coming from Islam's camp that the fact that he hasn't had the time to prepare either. So I like to see these two just really get in there with the chip on their shoulders and just really just let it all out there.
Yeah, I what I'm doing right now, right, is I agree with you. I see it going 5 rounds.
Mhm.
Um, once you and you hit on it, once you show someone is beatable, once you take away that air of invincibility, right?
Mhm.
Wh- Which uh which Islam felt before the Volk fight, obviously, to me at least, right? I think a lot of people also felt that way. Now Volk believes I can beat this guy.
He's planted a seed,
Yeah. I've felt his power. I felt his strength. I felt his speed. I
and
felt
he
it.
felt my power.
He felt
He
me.
felt my power at the
Yeah.
end. You give me
And
30 more seconds, and that fight could have gone a different
could
could
have
have
been
been a
over. I mean, you saw the face, the shots of the
Yep,
cameras of Islam going, oh,
tired.
boy,
First time he really looked tired,
yeah,
battered.
exactly. And that did play into account where a lot of people said Islam had a very tough weight cut, and that's what the whole IV controversy thing that happened around there. But
Yeah.
no excuses this time. He Once you do that, once you show somebody is beatable, Adrian, it's kind of like that thing of I hate to be a little nerdy here, but
Talk to me.
Endgame, or sorry, in
Yeah.
Infinity War, right? Tony Stark, what Thanos said to Tony, all that for a drop of blood, 100%. Because guess what? I showed that the God can bleed. I
Mhm.
showed that person that he's human. The invincibility's gone now. And that's what Volk did to Islam. Everybody forgot the knockout that happened to Islam, especially because it was kind of a flash one. It happened first. It kind of was an early stoppage as well. Could have gave him a little bit more time. This happened years ago with Islam. Now we're getting into now he built that resume up of being this just dominant freak. Now Volk is like, I felt you, and I feel like I'm not. Obviously, I'm impressed. You're a skillful fighter, but I'm not like this. Oh, this guy's like I'm scared. I'm not
I
scared of
can
him.
beat him.
I'm coming in now. Volk is coming in. What I'm trying to say is Volk is coming in looser. He's coming in feeling okay. I'm already. I'm ready. I'm ready to go for this, and I think that that's going to play into his favor. And I've got Alexander Volkanovski coming out on top, winning this fight in a close fight. I know he had a prediction of I'm going to finish him in this fight, but that's what usually every fighter says.
Everything
They're like,
says
I'm
that,
going
yeah.
to finish this guy, right? I'm going to finish this guy. Usually, it's very hard to finish a guy, finish people, guys and females in
Especially
the
if you're
UFC.
looking at these 2 guys. Like, these
Exactly,
2 are not just anybody. Like,
top
Islam's
of the
not gonna
food
give
chain.
you just he's not gonna let you just rain down shots on him. He
No,
will take you down. He's very good at tripping you. He's very good at
leg
momentum and
kicks.
shifting
He's a
you.
master. He loves those leg kicks.
And,
Hate
we
him.
like, you alluded to talking about the Charles do Bronx fight, the
Yes.
previous fight with Islam. I mean, let's be real. I mean, I apologize to Charles fans. I'm a Charles fan too. I
Yeah,
like Charles. I
I
think
loved
he's
the
a very
story coming up.
likable personality. I think he's a very good
He
fighter. I mean, let's
was.
be real. He's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. Look at the. He's nobody catching up to his submission record.
Yeah, the
Nobody,
resume is legit. The resume is
legit. But that last contest wasn't really a contest. It wasn't.
bad.
It was domination,
Domination.
and I think that we
And there
would
was
have
no
loved seeing
fear.
Charles come back
Adrian,
and go back. But
Adrian, there was no fear from Islam too. He dropped him. He went straight into his guard.
you shouldn't. Like I said, when your first real test is a guy outside of your division, and your first real like stamina pusher is a guy outside of your division, what is that really telling you? Like, I mean, I'm sorry, like
That Volk is built different.
Volk built different. I
Volk
mean,
is built
yeah,
different.
and that lightweight class, I mean, it's nasty. Don't get me wrong,
It is. It is.
it's nasty, but I
They
mean,
got it. Listen, Volkanovski is quick. Depending on the outcome of this fight, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but depending on that, this guy is possibly going to break into my top 10 mixed martial artists of all time if he able to get this done.
he's already got people debating on whether or not he's the greatest featherweight or not.
Exactly.
So, I mean, shout out Jose Aldo. I still
out.
got him slightly ahead of Volk, but I'm not going to sit here and say that Volkanovski does not have any sort of like
Stakes of that. No,
any sort of conversation at all. Like,
He's
there's no
there.
way.
He's there.
He's not a conversation.
And he's also already talking about, listen, the plan was January against Ilia Topuria, and he says the plan still is January with Ilia Topuria for the featherweight.
Gangsta shit.
Gangster. So now let's get on to, so we both have Volkanovski being able to take this win, but we think it's going to be a close fight, and I don't think either of us would be surprised if Islam walks out as and still champion.
And I also, just before we segue, I will want to touch on, I'm going to predict this now before anybody says anything.
Okay.
The trilogy is happening regardless of the outcome. Regardless of the outcome, the trilogy is happening, and here's why. Volk doesn't have a camp. That's going to be the excuse they use if he loses. Islam loses, they need the rematch. Enough words need to be said.
That's it. 1-1. It's 1-1.
1-1. They need to get it back, and then, hey, it was close enough, and you gave him 11 days. Why not give him a full fight camp and see what happens if you give him a full fight camp?
That's going to be so interesting.
I think you could sell that to people, and they would buy it.
Yeah,
and they would watch a third fight.
100%. That's going to be so interesting, especially if it's close.
If it's close.
Yeah, if Volk wins, and the rematch obviously has to happen, I wonder. No, I actually thinking about it now because my whole thing is I've moved on to it now. Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler are headlining UFC 300. I just truly believe that now. Like I think the cards are kind of being shown to everybody. Like it's pretty much it's going to be happening. But next up, the co-main event, just as exciting because of the unknown here. I got to be honest with you. The first thing I have written down here, Adrian, is first off, let me tell you, Kamaru Usman, the former UFC welterweight champion, coming off 2 straight losses, 1 knockout, and 1 5-round decision in world title fights against Leon Edwards. 11 days notice, moving up to 185, 36 years old now, I believe, 36, 35. And he's taking on the young, hungry wolf, the boogeyman I alluded to of the UFC now, Khamzat Chimaev. I have no idea what to expect here. I really don't know what's going to happen, right? I gave you all that moving up, 11 days notice, 2 losses, facing this young, hungry wolf.
But also, let's not forget, Khamzat hasn't even fought in a year either. And I mean, that is not going to take as much away from Khamzat as I believe.
No, I think he's
2 losses and moving up a weight class would for Kamaru, because like you said, you alluded to his age, and I think he's going to feel the weight a little more on him.
This is kind of a make or break fight for Usman. I know he's fighting the top of the food chain here in Khamzat and Leon, but like you lose this fight, it kind of, especially depending on how he loses it, but you lose this fight, it might be time to be like, what am I fighting for now? You know what I mean?
I agree.
Go ahead.
But I agree in a sense, but like, because I see what you're saying. This could be a potentially legacy fight.
Yeah, because
where if Kamaru can break into the middleweight division and actually contend for a title, then you're talking about a guy who's got a double champ status, not simultaneously, but a guy who's been a champion in 2 different weight divisions. He's got, add that to his resume. You can say this, he's done the same thing as GSP, and he was 1 fight away from tying GSP's welterweight title defense record.
Exactly.
So it's like, if you really think about it, this dude's resume speaks for itself. I understand what you're saying. He doesn't have anything to really fight for in welterweight, but he could always go. If he loses this fight, I think he could always go back and reclimb the ladder if he chose to.
If he wanted to.
Doesn't think he needs to though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's because he pretty much cleared out that division. I mean, he beat everybody that was there. But yeah, and listen, this division, I'm looking at the rankings right now, Adrian. I mean, Duplessis, I know he had a great win against Whitaker, but I don't know if that's a
Poor guy, man.
an exciting fight. Yeah, we'll get
Poor
there.
guy.
Yeah, because the outcome of this fight, listen, Dana doesn't like it when you don't take fights.
I say this, I say what happened, and you know what? I get the same answer from every fight fan that knows what they're talking about. Dana doesn't like it when you don't take your opportunity. It's an opportunity. You gotta take it. You say no, fuck you.
Yeah, and he basically says it like in lesser words, but he basically says it in the press conference. Like he's like, you know how I feel when people don't take fights. You know, he basically
he doesn't hide it. Dana's never been one to shy away from telling you.
And it's fair. And again, we're not ragging on Duplessis, but it's a fair argument where he's like, I'm not 100%. I want to be 100% going into my world championship shot. It's just when you look at it from a promoter's perspective, Dana perspective, look at Volk. Volk has gained everything. Dana would probably bend over backwards for this guy now. Okay, because that's what you get. But I'm looking at this middleweight division. And especially with the whole Izzy cloud kind of
lingering over that division,
because obviously Usman and Izzy really didn't want to fight each other. So now I think that's kind of why Usman is taking this fight now. Because if you remember, the rumors were this fight was going to happen, and Usman was like cut down to 170. You know, if you want to do this, we go at 170. Now that Izzy has come out, I'm not really going to be fighting for a extended period of time. Usman's like, I'm taking this fight then. I have no idea what's going to happen here, Adrian. Hamza hasn't fought in a lot in over a year now. Once this fight happens, like you said, alluded to, and his last fight was against Kevin Holland, and it was a submission victory in that crazy kind of weird. Why is Hamza always finding himself in these weird circumstances? Last year, the card was completely rearranged, and now this year, the card is being this guy.
It was for the better, though. I mean, we didn't want to see Hamza fight Nate.
I mean, he was going to destroy Nate. I love Nate Diaz, but he was going to absolutely maul Nate Diaz.
Nobody wanted that fight.
Nobody wanted that fight except for Dana White and them to obviously crush Nate Diaz on his way out, which is just smart promoting. But, this is what I feel, Adrian. I'll throw it to you about your thoughts on this fight. You kind of said something there, like you don't think that the extended time off is going to affect Hamzat, and I completely agree with you there. I don't think it's going to either. I think Hamzat's going to bring it. I think Hamzat's going to be like a caged wolf, a caged lion, chomping at the bit, like, let me out, because we don't know really the true reason why this guy hasn't fought. Like, we're getting rumors like visa issues here and there, but UFC has usually been able to clear those. They have connections, they have power and stuff like that. I know. And I won't get into it. That's a political thing. But
we've got our theories here and there.
Yeah. He his boy isn't in office anymore. That's what I'm saying. His boy isn't in office anymore. He might be able to get things done if he was in office. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
It's just speculation. We're in the realm of speculation.
Yeah, we're in speculation here. Hypothetical, allegedly. Yep. Allegedly. I feel Khamzat Chimaev is going to bring it. I think he once that you ready to fight. You ready to fight? Let's get on. I mean, you saw it in the Holland fight. Holland, the whole thing was, I truly believe Holland thought he was going to do the touch of the gloves, and that's what caught him off guard. Listen, protect yourself at all times, but Hamza don't play that shit. Hamza's like, I'm here. I don't get paid by the minute. I don't get paid by the second. I don't get paid by the hour. In and out, done, deal.
And Holland,
Usman is going to have to be
personality.
Too. I think Usman's going to have to be, and I don't know what Usman is going to bring. So I send it off to you, Adrian. What do you think is going to happen in this? What's happening?
I think Usman could look a little flat. I mean, that's the downside of this fight, because he could look flat. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's come off 2 losses. A guy that, I mean, you brought up a very good point. I didn't really think about how Izzy's hiatus probably did play a part of Usman taking this fight. But Usman you can't take anything away from this dude's resume, though. Like, to count Usman out completely would be kind of, not a smart thing to do. So I think that, like you said, Khamzat would be starving to really get that win. And I think Khamzat does win this fight. I do see Hamza winning this fight, whether it be by submission or by a unanimous decision. I think most likely submission though, because I think I do see Kamaru Usman tiring out more. He's got a little more weight on him. He hasn't had the camp to really revitalize himself fully. And I mean, I do hope for the best for Kamaru, but the trend that does happen with a lot of fighters, especially great fighters, when they do lose, is that they continue to lose and they start getting fed to younger stars. And I think it's a mix of what's happening now, but also Kamaru, like I said, has a shot of making this a legacy moment for him, where he
Yeah.
does take a step towards becoming a middleweight champion eventually.
He's taking his shot right now, of trying to get back into that. And listen, it'd be a great storyline. He has fought Sean Strickland before at
Be cool.
welterweight, so there's a little bit of a storyline there. I mean, just say, I agree with you. I think Hamzat's going to win this fight. If you put like a gun to my head and was like, Brandon, what do you think is going to happen in this fight? I would say I think Hamzat's going to absolutely maul him. I
Mm.
think Usman's not going to be prepared for it. I think Hamzat's just going to come out there like a goddamn banshee. We know Usman, while his takedown defense is the highest, I believe, in the welterweight division at like 93% or something like that. I think the only takedown that he was awarded against was the Leon Edwards one in the second fight, where Leon was able to catch him off guard there in the first round. I don't think they ever gave Colby the official takedown there, but I don't think he's gonna be prepared for the Hamzat. I just think Hamzat's coming at him,
The pressure.
and the pressure, exactly. The pressure is just going to absolutely pressure builds diamonds or bust pipes, and I think in Usman's case here, it's going to bust a pipe, and
Let's not also forget about Kamaru's development as a striker in a sense, because
I would listen. And I hear a lot of that, Adrian, and obviously from people that are obviously much more technically smarter than me, mixed martial artists and stuff like that. But what I truly believe is, I believe he gained a great jab. He's always had power.
very stiff
Look
jab.
at the freaking guy. The guy is a Greek god. He's chiseled out a rock or something. He's got power, right? He gained that jab, and Trevor Whitman has done an incredible job with him getting that jab. But in terms of actual like technical strike, and Hamzat's nothing like technical. Hamzat likes to just come out there and wing some shots, right?
Yeah, and then just set up for a takedown. Just make sure
Exactly.
that you're
So I think that the jab is going to be great, but I don't think the jab is going to be very effective when this guy is diving at your legs in the first 5 seconds of the fight, and you might be in for a ride there. And we all know this. I don't know if you've heard these rumors about Usman and why he doesn't really wrestle that much more, and he doesn't really do that in training camp. His knees are shot. There's the story from, I think, Joe Rogan. I forget if he said it. I think he might have said it.
he hadn't ran.
Sometimes he has to go downstairs backwards because of how bad his knees are.
That's unfortunate. I mean, he's a great too. That's the thing that really. That's why I really need to see. Like you said, he's 36.
Yeah,
and this hiatus is going to benefit Hamza more than it's going to harm him. I think that Usman does need. I mean, we did see a little couple clips of him running with Gaethje's team, but I mean, I think that they also said that he hadn't ran in so long because his knees were that bad. Like, he was so shot. I don't even know how he's fighting like that. Like, the domination that he was putting on in the world's highest league, apparently, I say allegedly because I think now there's a little bit of polarity now. But I mean, even then at the time, Usman was bodying people, and you're going to tell me the dude has knee problems? You're getting bodied with a dude with knee problems. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, this is true. But I mean,
listen,
I think that the
it's a
power
different,
and the
it's a
weight,
different breed.
I think the wake up is gonna make a significant factor. I think also, like I said, because we heard McGregor say it with the Diaz fight when he went up to welterweight. He's like, "Oh, I was landing shots that usually would have been knockout shots in my division."
Yeah.
But Nate's chin is made of granite.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah,
who knows? Maybe Hamza just comes out and he's just got a granite chin, or maybe those shots just don't hit as hard to a guy at middleweight than they do as a guy at welterweight. But
We did
we gotta wait
see
and see.
We did see Gilbert rock him and kind of drop him. He dropped him to a knee, I believe it was.
It was
But
a
we
barn
did see it
burner.
get tested. That was an insane fight.
That fight was a barn burner.
And that's why I wish it was a 5-round fight. It might have been different because looked like Hamzat kind of blew his wad and I don't. It's just we don't know. That's why you fight the fights.
I like Dorino, man. Dorino's got heart.
He's a
Like he
beast.
got
He
heart.
brings it. He brings it. What a crazy thing. He was a 155 or two fighting. So that wraps up the co-main event and main event of UFC 294. So I believe Volk's going to get the job done. And I think Hamzat's getting the job done. Adrian is in agreement. He's with Volk. He's with Hamzat here. But listen, if you want to make some money, I'm just saying, if you think Usman's got a shot, these guys are both plus 200 plus underdogs.
Yeah.
It's like
that's up to you guys if you want to take it. But personally,
take shot.
I'm playing the safe one.
One last fight we'll kind of talk about just briefly is the return of Magomed Ankalaev. Last time we saw this man fight was for the light heavyweight championship last year in December in a draw. I think it was a majority draw to be specific against Jan Blachowicz.
Yes.
And that ending was just we kind of just erased that from our memories. Yeah,
very awkward. Yeah, very disappointing situation to be in.
Yeah, because Dana literally was like right after, those two are done. We're doing a light heavyweight championship fight in January in Brazil with Glover and Jamal Hill.
It's just like, let's just scrub that from existence. That never happened. Next,
exactly. And he is taking on Johnny Walker, who's kind of had a little bit of a resurgence here. I'm looking at his record right now. He's got 3 wins in a row. One against Kutalaba by submission in the first round.
Yep.
A KO against Paul Craig in the first round. And then most recently a decision win over Anthony Smith in May. So he's fighting a 3-fight. He's riding a 3-fight win streak. His last loss was actually to the former light heavyweight champion Jamal Hill. He got knocked out there. But Ankalaev he's only got that one loss in his career and then the one draw. He's 18-1-1 for a reason. I think he is truly in that light heavyweight division. He's the guy that I look at and go, nobody wants to fight him. He didn't fight very smart in the Jan fight. I don't know what was going on there. I don't know why he wasn't wrestling more. The guy, I mean, like, what are you doing, man? It might be sometimes these fighters like to fall in love with their power and fall in love with their striking a little too much instead of going back to their bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if Ankalaev fights the way he should fight and fights smart, this should be a pretty particularly easy. I don't want to say easy, but he should be able to get through Johnny Walker if he fights a smart fight and is able to get in close, the takedowns, the clinch, and all that stuff. And he's got power himself too. He's just got to be weary of the crazy moves from Johnny
craziness
Walker.
That is Johnny Walker. The reason why people even gravitate towards Johnny Walker, the personality, the eccentric moves, the quick twitch, the everything. Johnny Walker is a freak of nature, but like you said, he has experienced a great resurgence. Everybody is loving the personality and the fighter that is Johnny Walker, but this is go time right now. This is go time. I think this is exactly that. So I think Magomed got put into a unfortunate situation with that Jan fight, excuse me, and this is his shot now. He got pushed to the side. Jan lost to Pereira. He got pushed. Now Jan's out of the picture. I think this is going to be really that moment where Magomed is going to, if he wins this fight indecisively, he could really get another shot at that light heavyweight title.
Yeah, this is his fight to come back and try and get a little more favor in Dana White and the matchmaker's eyes, curry a little bit more, especially if you get a finish. You get a finish.
Especially if you get a finish. Yeah, Dana loves it when you go and finish those fights.
60 G's, baby! I'm looking at this, though. Crazy stat. I mean, Johnny Walker's got a 7-inch reach advantage, 82-75 on Ankalaev. So, again, that's what he's got to get in. Can't stay at kicking range. Got to get in. Dirty boxing, clinch, takedowns. And I think he should be able to get the job done. I got to be honest with you. And that's pretty much it. Wrapping up. I know the main event of the prelims is Tim Elliott versus an up-and-comer, undefeated phenom, Muhammad Makhachev, finally making his return at 125. That'll be an interesting fight. That's kind of Makhachev. If I'm not mistaken, that's his first real test. Yes, it is. The last fight was Feelho. Yeah, no, that's it. So this is his true real test because Tim Elliott, while you look at his record 20-12-1, you talk to anybody in the fighting community, Tim Elliott is a difficult ass man
No.
to fight. He's not somebody because he doesn't get tired. He's in your face. He's going to push the pressure on you, and he's a vet in this company league, whatever you want to call it.
There's a reason why Dana puts the up and comers against a guy like him.
Exactly. So this is Muhammad. This is it basically, Muhammad. You win this fight, and we're talking sizzler, baby. I'm actually gonna hold on. Where's Tim Elliott? Tim Elliott is ranked. Okay, Tim Elliott's ranked 10th in the flyweight, and Muhammad's ranked 11th. So win this fight, and we could be talking you versus a Manel Cape, which is a great fight.
That would be a great fight.
I think Cape wants that Kai Kara France fight back. I think because of that.
He definitely does.
He wants that. Yeah,
but I think also being able to crack that top 10, especially for a young up and comer,
Muhammad,
it would be something that would benefit,
especially in a wide open flyweight division now. Now that Demetrius is gone, Cejudo is a bantamweight officially now. That's a and listen, I'm a big fan of Mr. Brandon Moreno, not only because we share a name, but this guy has just won me over. I love this guy so much.
I love that guy. He's a really good personality. He's a dog. I mean, first quadruple, whatever you want to call that, like 4-fight series, quadrilogy, whatever. Sure, but that him and Figgy, those guys really
those were great.
That flyweight division on their back after DJ and Cejudo really left. So
especially that first fight.
Just bangers on bangers.
That was the greatest flyweight fight of all time.
Watch Brandon Moreno and Figgy fights.
Yeah,
love Brandon Moreno. Those are
and apparently now Brandon Moreno and Pantoja, because that was a hell of a fuck. I mean, this Pantoja,
that was a war in itself too.
Pantoja is a zombie. You hit him and he just walks forward. He doesn't. He's like, yeah, you punch me in the face. I don't care. I'm coming. It's like, what is this guy, dude? I don't want to see you in the streets, and you're only 125 pounds. Get away from me, dude. You're gonna need a freaking tire iron to knock his ass out or something.
Absolutely. But he is an older fighter, so a lot of people are really wondering how long will his title reign last. He's got to fight Royval in December. It's going to be like you said, that division.
It's a rematch too. That's a rematch. I think it's a rematch.
It's pretty wide open, especially for these young and up and comers to really stamp their mark. And I think that Tim Elliott fight was going to be another. It should be another stamp for another young up and comer.
Yeah, Muhammad's coming up right now. Exciting in the flyweight division, but that's going to wrap up UFC 294. Exciting fight card. I truly do believe that this card got better with the shakeups. I think it was me going into it. Like I said, Costa and Hamzat was a great fight. I was excited for that. But the main event, I was like, I truly think Islam's going to smash him in one round, dude. I'm sorry. Like, I love Bronx. It was a freaking hell of a win. I didn't expect him to beat Benny like that in June. I thought Benny was going to give a much better performance, and Charles came out and showed up. But styles make fights, and I don't think I don't think Charles is a good matchup for Islam. Islam, it's like a rock crushes scissors type thing. You know, it's just not a good matchup for him. But that wraps up UFC 294. So let's get into Mr. Israel Adesanya. I like to say his
style bender.
Yep, this is the last style bender. Adesanya, Adrian, because I Disanya. Corny there. That's an Izzy line there, but Izzy is pretty corny if we're gonna be honest. He's cool.
Very.
Yeah, no shot at Izzy, but that's just what it is.
Yeah, well, not as cool. I mean, we talked about Cejudo, so
yeah, man, Captain Cringe.
They got a good race going on over there.
He plays into it. He is the cringe
king.
Cringe king. Even though I do love Cejudo, but
me too.
Israel Adesanya, a former middleweight champion, after suffering a pretty bad loss, not in terms of damage, really, just outclassed, outworked, everything, just head to bottom, top to bottom, I should say, just everything. He has now said he's taking a extended hiatus. He's not retiring. He says that's not me. But I'm taking a hiatus. I'm not going to be fighting for a very long time, or a long time. I think he put very in there. So I honestly think that obviously rules out UFC 300 for Izzy. I don't think he's fighting at UFC 300. So my thoughts on this is good for Izzy. It's well earned, well deserved. Listen, this guy, Adrian, he debuted in 2018. He's fought 16 times in 5 years. That's outrageous. And 4 of those years
unheard of in our modern era.
Unheard of. And 4 years of that was as champion or contending for the championship.
Crazy.
So that's just So what I truly expect from Izzy is I don't expect him back until early 2025. I think he takes all of 2024 off, and I think he comes back refreshed and ready to go in 2025. I don't think we see him for the entire next year.
I can see how that happens, but I also can see how Izzy, like you brought up that fight, right? You mentioned
Strickland?
before, yeah, the Strickland fight. You mentioned before, pressure makes diamonds or bust pipes.
Yep.
Sean didn't win that fight off of just hitting him hard. Like, yeah, he cracked him in the
first
second.
round,
I
yeah.
believe it was the second, first round.
First round.
And that put the stars
That changed the complexion of the
changed
fight.
the complexion of everything. But not only that, not to take away from Sean's defense, because Sean was just nullifying Izzy's kicks, Izzy's striking, and he won a fight just simply pressuring Izzy all night.
Yep.
That's all what it was. Stood in front of him, would not go away. And I think that mental break would be good for him.
Yeah.
Because not only does you mentioned he well deserved it. He's most active UFC champion, and if not competing for a champion. And we forget these guys are gladiators, man. Like these guys put on a show. They're putting their health out there. Like they want a future too. Like we want to remember these fights. Let's be honest. Let's call it how I say it. People don't want to admit about that side of the sport, but it's there. So give the guys time. But at the same time, talking about how we see Izzy, because Izzy is a character, and he shows us a little inside of how his mind operates sometimes, and he's competitive. So I think that if he feels at any moment that he can go back and get back, at any moment he'll get up and pick up the phone and say, "Yo,
I'm ready.
I'm done sitting around. I'm done relaxing. It's not what I want to do anymore.
I
want to go get back." And
I
think that's very Izzy like too. So either way, I'm okay with it. I'm content that he has nothing else really to prove in this division, and he probably was really suffering from success, and he needed to put his heart into it. So
I 100% agree, and I'm gonna pose a question to you about this. But I don't think a lot was made of the fact, and I'm not making excuses for him, but I just when you talk about the stretch from November of last year to September of this year for Izzy, right? November happens. He's fighting a guy who is kind of the boogeyman of his career. He has lost 2 previous fights to him, one by vicious knockout, one by controversial decision.
Yep.
In kickboxing, obviously, right? Pineres fast-tracked. We all know why he's fast-tracked, because he's got those 2 victories over Izzy, whatever, the fruits of the labor. I'm coming. Now we've got the trilogy happening in MMA. Izzy is winning that fight. He's winning the fight all the way through.
It's the same thing, just like the first fight.
Exactly.
Just like the first kickboxing fight.
Gets caught, dropped, knocked out. Comes back, says, "Nope, I want it now." Doesn't take that much time off either. I think it was November to April.
The same year, or within a year.
Yeah,
within a year.
Exactly. Doesn't take that much, and his coaches even said after that, we kind of really wanted him to take a little bit more time, especially from getting knocked out. Comes back. It's such a emotion high, adrenaline. Everything's so high in this, especially this rivalry and stuff of Pereira. Gets the knockout, the release, the great post-fight interview afterwards, right? Of him just saying, "I wish that you guys could feel this feeling I'm feeling right now." Like everything, just like I am on cloud, and I'm every that speech there that he gave.
Peak.
Then you go to July of Duplessis versus Whitaker. Duplessis gets the big knockout victory, surprising the entire world. We all know a little bit of the history between Izzy and Duplessis. It's gotten a little bit hairy, stuff.
The oven's been turned up.
Stuff, exactly, right? Things have been brought into it, and then we all know what happened when Izzy was brought into the octagon, and the things that were said and everything. Just a lot of freaking venom and energy and just all that emotion built in. And then the come down of, I'm not fighting Duplessis or Pereira anymore. I'm fighting Strickland. And no offense to Strickland, but let's be honest, Strickland was coming off of 2 victories against people that were kind of not really that. I mean, especially in June, he fought a no-name dude that nobody had ever even heard of, really, in the UFC. Wasn't ranked or anything. And I'm fighting Strickland. And apparently, according to rumors, Izzy called Dana and stuff. They didn't want to make the fight, or called whoever in the UFC. They didn't want to book that fight, whether it to be the liability of Strickland, he's got a crazy mouth, that stuff, or if Strickland wins, we can't do this, whatever. And Izzy was like, nope, make the fight. I will beat this guy. I promise you. You go in there and you lose that fight. Just that roller coaster of emotions. You know what I mean? So I pose to you, right? Gut feeling, Adrian. When do you think Israel Adesanya is back in the octagon?
When is Izzy back in the octagon? I did mention his personality, and I did mention the situation going on in middleweight, but I also want to mention that I think that he like you did bring up really good points because
Yeah.
he did have his really peak, like his piece peaked. I think he did look past Sean Strickland,
Yeah.
and it
Not to
costed
take
him.
it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It costed him.
Yeah.
Not taking away from Sean, like you said. These guys are good. They're there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But he looked past them, and you know what happens when you look past guys. You usually get a rude awakening real quick.
Yep.
But I think that Izzy comes back in about like I agree with your 2025 take, but I do think that he does come a little sooner. I think I want to say midway through 2024 because
International
of
fight.
his I'm ready. Like I'm done sitting down, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
this stuff is really in his blood, and he's realizing that he's getting older.
I hear that. He's going to
So
be 35 in July of next year. So,
yeah,
yep.
if he's gonna do it, he's gonna be like, all right, this is either now or I'm kind of gonna be on the
And,
back end of my
and
career anyway.
he did slightly allude to like a time frame. He was kind of, um, what's the word? Where you're kind of being not transparent with somebody. Cryptic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's obviously how he is, but he was being very cryptic in his way of this. The clock is ticking on me. Like I've got a kind of I've got a set date. I can kind of see it in my horizon. So he's not going to be honest with us about that, but
also leaving us with his coaches at the end of that
yeah,
presser.
he didn't want to talk. And then
He said
even
what
when
he had to say, and he's like,
yeah,
I'm out.
yeah,
Like
and
I
then
want to
even
be
when
with
he
who I want to
did
be with.
release that
Fine
YouTube
by me
video
too.
on his channel, he really didn't say much of really what happened. Like even Dana alluded to it, where it was like, Dana was like, "What happened out there?" He was like, "We need to, we'll talk." Like
We'll talk
basically, like,
later.
literally, like a lot, yeah. So, and that never happened. Dana even said, like, "Yeah, we never had the conversation." So I don't know. But that wraps up that topic. So let's get into a little bit of a fun topic of just Adrian. Did you see the shit show that was
The carnival.
prime card of Dylan Danis and Logan Paul and Tommy Fury and KSI?
I got to see bits and pieces of it. Yes, I did while I was working, but we had a little discussion before this live started, and
Yes.
I will start it the same way. Just a disgrace to the boxing sport. It's just like,
Yep.
I mean, you can get into all the semantics on these guys can do whatever they want. They got money, cool. Who wants to see it? They sold well, whatever. But these guys are getting knocked out, and some of
Yeah.
these guys are getting really hurt. And then at the end of the day, some people are regretting they even paid for it. So it's like, is
Yeah.
this really good for us as a community?
No.
Not up for me to decide, but hey, y'all pay for what y'all pay for. I didn't.
So Adrian, not a big fan of the celebrity or influencer boxing realm.
Nothing to really write home for. I mean, I
Neither
think
am I.
that if these guys got the money to really train, I think is a difference with like when I look at people like Jake Paul, right? So it's like Jake Paul has actually taken the time
Mm,
to train. Not saying he's a boxer like these other guys,
no.
but he's actually taken the time outside
Takes it
to be like, all
serious.
right, let me get good to an extent.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he's made a promotion where he's actually promoting other fighters. And it's not just a bunch of celebrities that are just like, oh, I got beef with this dude and I want to fight
Mhm.
him. Like,
Yeah. No.
okay, like you found a way to loophole to do it legally, and y'all can get paid for it. Cool. That's in the business world, y'all got it.
Mm-hmm.
But as a fight fan, like
This is not it.
it's not it. I mean, it's hard to really get behind it, especially when you have other great fights happening in the same night on the same time.
Exactly.
And people don't even know about those. They're
Yeah.
hearing about YouTube guys fighting
Mark
a
Danis.
guy that's never fought in what 4 years,
A jiu-jitsu guy versus a
a jiu-jitsu
YouTuber.
guy versus a professional wrestler, and then
Yeah.
another guy who owns the promotion fighting
Exactly.
so and so legendary
Reality.
fighter who's
Yeah.
never fought a really big
So
fight anyway. So
yeah, so my thoughts on this, I'm not a big fan of the influencer boxing. I think it's just stupid. Do I watch? Yeah, but like not with a vested interest, and you're definitely not getting my money. Wink, wink. Um, but with Fury, I mean, I do agree with you. And even though I despise Jake Paul, I just honestly I see through his facade, and I just don't think he's a good person. Honestly, I
mhm.
really think he's just fake. Um, he does take it more seriously than Logan. He is a better boxer than Logan for whatever the fuck that's worth. Um, so yeah, but it was like you said, I think you summed it up great. It was a disgrace. It was bad. This was straight up. I literally texted my friend. Well, no, he texted me much later on in the night. I guess he just had finally saw what happened. He was like, that WWE ass finish to the fight. And I was like, dude, that was literally my exact thought. When those security guards rushed the ring at the end of the fight, I was like, this is straight out of WWE, WWF, Monday Night Wars, Monday Night Raw back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Just everybody freaking crowds the ring and we're going. It's like, oh my God, like Gordon Ryan was in there. Jake Paul was yelling at people. Dylan was throwing shots and haymakers
Threw more shots after the fight than he did in the actual
he did it
fight. Like, let's be
at
real. Like, the guy
the
looked afraid to let his hands go, and
It was
then
bad. I think it truly was. He just didn't want to get knocked out. I think that was the success for Dylan Danis. I just am not going to get knocked out. The whole thing was just Dylan Danis is a guy who wants to create talking points. And that's all he wants. And if that's the case, he succeeded to the highest degree because that's what
absolutely. I think
everybody's going to be talking about. It's what we're talking about right now. It's what everybody's talking about. And is it kind of like a one shot, like, one shot deal? Maybe he now looked at damaged goods. Bellator's not going to touch him. PFL might touch him. The only thing I see with PFL is the Jake Paul thing. Jake Paul, Dylan Danis, first MMA fight for Jake Paul. That you could probably sell to people, right? Dylan Danis is saying UFC next. I highly doubt it. The only way you're getting into the UFC is if McGregor makes a call to Dana and says, you got to give my buddy a fight. And then Dana might be like, all right, but he better be on freaking, like, we don't want any of that shit going down because that's liabilities and we don't like that. But yeah, it was I just wanted to, it was, I hope we're done, but I don't think we're done.
like you said, it generates talking points, and I
It
think that,
is.
the best way for Dylan Danis, even after that disgrace of a 6-round fight, was to generate talking point, was to throw up submission and give somebody to something to talk about because
Back, yeah.
like we're doing right now, we're talking about it. So
Yeah.
it's like
He,
that's how
he
they stay relevant. That's how they make money. If Dylan, everybody's like, oh, Dylan's the apprentice of McGregor. All right, if Dylan learned anything from McGregor, it's how to ruffle people's fucking feathers and
controversy.
get people to get want to fight you and then make a lot of money from it and
Yep.
then hopefully disappear for a long time.
A great
On
quote.
the contrary, McGregor's actually got a backbone to show for it. But
100%. A great quote from Eric Bischoff, former wrestling promoter, I guess you want to say. Controversy creates cash, and that is one of the truest statements you'll ever hear. But I will say this: Dylan Danis is nowhere near the level of shit talker that McGregor is.
never
Dylan
will
is
be.
all online stuff, Twitters. You've seen the face to when you get him face to face, he is
Shaking as a
McGregor is
beach
coming up with lines of freaking like
on the
in
fly.
in a different time. I would invade his favela and kill everybody he loved. We're in a different time, so I'll whoop his ass in July. I mean, that is just one of the greatest.
Out riding on horseback.
Oh, just phenomenal, Connor. I can't wait till he comes back. I can't
Oh
wait.
man, yeah, you can't beat that. That's what
Um, so final topic for today, Adrian. We got to talk about it because this is just a fun question to ask every fight fan. Adrian, what's the greatest mixed martial arts fight you've ever seen?
oof. So I got a couple to point at, but for me personally, in my lifetime, that I've seen in my lifetime, I'll start with the craziest fight I ever saw was the second Wilder Fury fight. I think what makes a fight is a back and forth. If you see somebody get up after losing and then they crack somebody else and they get up and they're going back and forth, give me that. Give me a barn burner. That's why I like the Rory McDonald, and I was going to bring up the second one, Rory McDonald in the Lawler fight, barn burner. Give me something like that. That's something like I rewatched. I never got to witness it. I didn't watch it live compared to the Wilder Fury one, but that Lawler fight, and then for my last little entry, if you ever guys get the chance, Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard. Duran's one of my favorite boxers of all time. Sugar Ray, I don't got to say much about him, but
Legend.
barn burner, back and forth, brawl. If you like guys that just technically sound, know how to know how to have a lot of power and really see a bunch of stunner punches, like real eye openers, that's a great fight to watch.
That's
So
a great fight. All right, listen.
something to watch.
Yeah, that Wilder Fury one. I mean, when he wakes up like the Undertaker from the dead, like
Oh,
9 second. I mean, it's just that's out of a movie. Hollywood can't script it any better.
that's a Hollywood movie. It's
Yeah.
for real. That's a Rocky movie.
I mean, his life is kind of a Hollywood movie too. The things that he's been able to overcome. The greatest fight I've ever seen, and I'm like you, right? Like live, like, and we're not talking live, like actually in attendance, but like as it's happening, right?
Yeah, in our time.
Yeah, the one that I always go to that literally just had my jaw on the ground, and we talked about him actually earlier, was Israel Adesanya's first interim title fight against Kelvin Gastelum.
Oh,
That fight,
dang.
just,
Barn burner.
I mean, I still remember the moment of, I mean, first off, Gastelum gave him one of the toughest fights Izzy's going to ever have in his entire career. And I still remember the moment at the beginning of the 5th round, right before the bell sounds, Izzy just saying, "I'm ready to die. I'm dying for you're not beating me here.
I'm dying
I'm
for this
ready
shit.
to die. I'm ready to die. You can't beat me." And I was just the chills. I just literally got chills down my spine again. So that fight to me, I always point to and I go like, God damn, those two just absolutely gave it everything they had and left a piece of them, probably even more than a piece of themselves in that cage that night. And then I'm gonna show some love to the ladies. The greatest female fight I have ever seen, I think it's bar none, is, and I think a lot of people actually agree with this, is the Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk first fight right before the pandemic as well. And actually, what's funny is it was the co-main event to another Izzy fight, but this Izzy fight was one of the worst fights ever, the Yo Romero fight.
Hero fight,
Um,
yeah.
but that
The
fight
classic
between
image of him
Joanna,
standing still.
yeah, Joanna and Weili, just absolutely. I mean, the action pack. First off, we all know 125 or 115ers actually. They could put out the energy. They ain't gonna get tired. And then you obviously have the hematola of Joanna just growing and growing each round of just the grit and determination from those two. That was a hell of a fight. Those are my two right there that I go to. Hell of a fights. And a hell of a fights to come this weekend, Adrian, at UFC 294. I cannot wait. Everybody, remember this: Abu Dhabi special start time. Main card starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. for the prelims Eastern. So be prepared for that. It's going to be exciting. I cannot wait. Me and Adrian are going to give you previews and breakdowns and just covering the news of mixed martial arts and combat sports going forward every day, every Monday. I was about to say every day, every Monday, every week.
Excited.
We're going to be doing this. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be an exciting time. I'm so happy that Adrian has joined me today because MMA is one of, actually, I've said this, it's become my favorite sport. I listen, you're gonna find out, Adrian, very soon. A lot of my favorite fighters don't have very much success, and I've just been on a kind of a downward thing ever since, and it's just not very good. I mean, I've just gotten the brunt of it, and I hate it so much. But
Yeah, well, you just said you just became a Volk fan, so hopefully, there'll be something positive coming.
yeah, but like I'm talking my top dogs, like Tony
okay.
Ferguson, Cody
Oh no,
Garbrandt,
yeah. That already
Jorge.
breaks my heart hearing
Yeah,
talking about
Cody
Tony.
just talk about I mean, you want to talk
We'll
about
talk
greatest
about that
title?
Patty fight when we get to it.
Yep, greatest title performance. Oh, I can't wait for that. Greatest title performance. Cody Garbrandt is right up there against Dominic Cruz. This man was doing push-ups, dance moves in the middle. It was just insane.
It's like Cody was a different person that fight, and then that the whatever
TJ
mythical fighter entered his spirit just left after that fight.
what came to him was he went back to the street days of I see blood, killer be killed. He got rocked and he just went for it, and that was that. But I can't wait to keep doing this with you, Adrian. I can't wait for Saturday afternoon, not night this time, which is actually pretty cool. I took the day off of work. I'm excited to watch those fights. But yeah, that has been all from us. I've been Brandon Capozziello. That was Adrian I'm going to say it one more time, Adrian. One more
Pineres.
time.
Got you.
Pineres.
I was giving you a shot, but I got you. Pineres.
Pineres.
Adrian Pineres.
Pineres. Pineres.
Yes.
Pineres. I've been Brandon Capozziello. That was Adrian Pineres. And we have been the Wise Guys. And we have been talking MMA. And that is that. And until next time, stay classy.